So, good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. It's gonna be a bit disjointed because I'm trying to let people in, and then I'm also just going to try and spotlight our advisors as we go through. So bear with. As I said, any questions, pop them in the chat. We'll do our best to answer. We've got, I think there's 8 of us online tonight who are all advisors, largely in the sort of Bucks and Hertfordshire area. We're all from Ascot branch, and then we've got Katie, who's also up in Shropshire. So not that geography really plays a big part. We can help anybody in the country because of Zoom. So don't let that stop you if you want demos and things like that. So I'm Jane, and then other advisors on the call are, we've got Hilary. Hilary's going to be doing sous vide asparagus today. We've got Martina, who's going to show us the egg boiling mode. We've got Kasia, who's going to show us how easy it is to make hollandaise sauce. We've got Liz, who's going to mince meat and explain the benefits of that. We've got Zena, who's going to talk about milling flour and icing sugar and things like that. Katie is going to talk through how easy it is to make yogurt and the fermentation mode. Emma's going to whip up some butter, which you'll see how super simple and quick it is. And then at the end, if there's time or if people are interested, I'll quickly take you through a bit of Cookidoo. We'll talk about filters, scaling recipes, and how to get the most out of Cookidoo, creating your own recipes and things like that. It's an amazing, amazing website. But you do just need to spend a little bit of time to see what's on there. There's so much information. And I'm going to start off by peeling garlic and talking about the blade cover peeler. So this is the one thing that does not come with your Thermomix when you buy it. I think we've got a mixture. I think most of the people on the call are customers already, so you have your Thermomix. If you're not and you've got any questions, let us know. This is a quick overview, so it's only going to be a tiny snippet of what the Thermomix can do. This is your blade cover peeler. It's £32 and it comes in addition to your Thermomix, and you simply pop it on your knife. So you've got your knife in there and you've got your blade cover peeler, just slip it in like that. And you would use this for sous vide. So Hilary will probably use it later, I imagine, for slow cooking. And it means that the blade can continue to turn without the ingredients getting mashed up. So if you're slow cooking something, eventually the meat will fall apart. If you use your blade cover, the knife is turning, the liquid is maintaining an equal temperature, and things cook equally without mashing up your ingredient. And the benefit of this new blade cover, I mean, it's over a year old now, is it's got like little nodules on it, so we can use it as a peeler as well, which is amazing. So I'm going to quickly show you how to peel, or how I love to peel. I've got all of this garlic. I've got 8 bulbs of garlic, which would take you forever to peel if you were peeling by hand. And I find it a real sort of hurdle to cooking. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to also just spotlight my other camera so you can see the screen down here, hopefully. So if I swipe from right to left, you get all these different modes. Have a look at these if you haven't done already. We're going to use a few of them today, and that was our plan, is just to show you more about these modes and going off piece a little bit, rather than, you know, the recipes are amazing but simple to follow. So on this page you've got all these different modes. Bottom right is my peeler. If I click on that, that takes me straight to the peeler mode. When you do it for the first time, it tells you instructions. So it says no more, use 600 grams of water. Liquids, we go grams and milliliters interchangeable. So it's always in grams, but don't let that confuse you. It will tell you 600 grams of water and maximum 800 grams of the ingredient. So this is brilliant for round, hard vegetables. It's not going to peel tomatoes and things like that. It will pick, and a carrot, I wouldn't use it for a carrot, because if you chop it up, it's bobbling them around, so it makes them round and you'll just lose a lot of your carrot. Peel your carrot normally, but anything round, it's brilliant for potatoes, for beetroot and things like that, and also garlic. So it's preset 4 minutes. I think you can see that, and the peeler mode. I'm going to leave it for 4 minutes because I've got a lot of garlic. If you had a little bit less garlic, then maybe reduce the time, okay? So I'm just putting all this garlic in. And then I'm going to put in 600 grams of water. So I'm just going back to my modes and I'm just putting in the scales. If you put the water in first, you just cover the knife and then you don't really need to weigh it. And you don't have to be too precise. It just helps rub off the skins. Okay, so that's 600 or thereabout grams of water. Back to my peeler mode, and I'm just going to touch the peeler icon, and that means that when I turn the silver knob, it's activating that dial. I'm going to turn it on. It's going to be for 4 minutes. You don't have to stand here and watch it. We will go to Hilary next. Are you ready, Hilary, if I come to you? I'll turn that on. I'm going to mute myself, and then I'm going to find Hilary and move over to her.
So I'm going to do sous vide. So it's something that can feel quite scary. It's something certainly that I would never have considered doing, didn't even know what it was, to be honest, until I had my thermi. And Paula, who's on the Zoom tonight, who's my team leader, we literally Zoomed with each other and did the banana sous vide, which I did last time. So that was kind of my introduction. And it is so simple, but it's one of those things that can feel a bit scary, but when you actually do it, it's not at all. So with the sous vide, essentially what you're doing is either using a vacuum sealer where you're putting your whatever you want into sous vide, whether it's steak, bananas, in this case asparagus, into either the vacuum sealer bag or into a zip seal bag. So from its food grade, a zip seal bag is absolutely fine. So at the minute my Thermomix is coming up to temperature to try and make things a bit quicker. So I'll just show you with my Thermomix friend bowl what essentially you're doing. In your bowl, there's your blades. Jane's absolutely right, you're going to put a blade cover in. So that's what I'm doing. So the one that's in mine is currently the old style, which is just the plastic cover. So this is the peeler blade. So you would pop that in. It just clips into the top like that. And then you're going to fill inside your bowl. There is, I'm not sure if you can see here, there's a 1 raised and a 2 and a max. So following your instructions, you're going to fill it with water up until the 2 line there. And you're going to add into that lemon juice, and that's to stop something to do with the science of it. It's to stop the bowl rusting. So you're going to add in. So what I did on my Thermomix is put my water in, popped it on, then put my lid on, put my measuring cup on the top, and then I zeroed my scales and measured in my 15 grams of lemon juice, tipped it back into the water, and that's now heating. So if you've got a vacuum sealer, that's very, very straightforward. You're just popping your food in and it's sealing it, a bit like a laminating machine. Yes. So if you haven't got that, then equally it's similar. So you chop up your asparagus and you're putting a teaspoon of olive oil and a teaspoon of chopped garlic in, or to your taste. And then you simply, hopefully you can see on this one, I haven't seen the whole thing. You pop it into a bowl of water. So I'm going to do the other one so you can see it happening. And just as you immerse it slowly, it pushes the water out, and then you can finish the zip sealing. So the other thing I thought I would mention is whenever you're doing something with hummus, it's perfect for zero waste. So I just have a Ziploc bag, and I just made a load of stock, so it's again a start. So I've just labelled it veg stock scraps, and it is just literally that. So these are the ends of my asparagus stalks. Pop it in the freezer, and then anything like ends of carrots, leftover bits of onion, any kind of vegetable, pop it into the freezer, and then that's ready to make your next batch of homemade veg stock, which is on Cookidoo. So really good tip there. I'm going to see if I can turn my camera around.
While you do that, Hilary, I'm just going to bring you, because I've finished.
Okay.
I've basically finished the peeler mode, and it's if I show you, basically it looks a bit sludgy, but all the skins have basically just come off. So I'm just going to pull out all of those cloves of garlic, and they're all, I'd say 90% of them, the skins are falling off. So I'm just going to rinse those off. And then I've got all a load of garlic, which I'm then going to either make the garlic paste, which is a recipe on Cookidoo, or ferment it. Okay. Are you ready, Hilary?
I am. I am.
I'm back to you.
Okay, so glamorous bowl filled with normal water, and I'm going to put my Ziploc bag in. Again, as long as it's food grade, you're fine. And then you just, hopefully you can see this, push it in slowly, by the miracle of science. It's going to push the air out. You don't want to get any water in. So it's obviously, it's very simple to do, even simpler when you're not trying to film yourself doing it, I have to say. There we go. So all done. So it's all kind of seal packed. And I'm just going to double check the one. And that one in as well.
Pushing the air out, which is the job of a vacuum sealer. So you don't have to have the vacuum sealer, which is super cool. And that's probably one bunch of asparagus split into two, is it, Hilary?
It is, yeah. Okay. So, and what I've actually done, it's still heating. I'm gonna turn this round. So, the Thermomix is still heating the water, but what I actually did for this, because the recipe is for a larger quantity than I wanted to do at this time of the day, so I've actually edited it. So I've gone into let me do it now. I've gone into my recipes. You can see it says enjoy cooking your own recipe creation. So it's not actually my own created recipe, other than the fact I've reduced it down to a portion of 2. So, which is very straightforward to do. You literally go into the recipe. Sometimes it has a little green arrow, very much like this at the side of your recipe, and it will give you options to increase or decrease that head office have scaled already. Whereas this, it didn't have that option, so I've reduced it down to a portion of 2. So it basically halves everything down. So you can see at the top here, it says sous vide asparagus. Well, you probably can't actually. Asparagus. It does say with poached eggs. We're not doing the poached eggs tonight, so freestyling a little bit more, which is a very new thing for me. Only done since having a Thermomix, and for 2 people. So, and then whenever you've done something like this, it will appear in your created recipes, and your face appears on it too.
So it just means you've got full control over your recipes, whether you want to put in new ones, whether you now want to alter existing ones. Some recipes can be scaled without having to go into created, and it means they've been tried and tested by our recipe developers. This one hasn't, so the timing has been adjusted in an automatic sort of algorithm, which is what Hilary is doing now. So she's just following what the computer's told her to. It means you don't have to do it in your head, basically, doesn't it? Which is quite nice.
It is.
You chill out. We'll come back to you. We're going to go to Martina. Martina, are you ready? Martina is going to do boiled egg mode. This is such a simple one, but I'm not sure that many people actually use it.
Excellent. Yes. Hi, everybody. So yes, we're going to do have you got the little
yeah, that's
coming.
Yeah. You keep talking and I'll find you.
That's what I do best. I just keep talking. So we're going to do the boiled egg mode this evening. So the boiled egg are fantastic. So this is something I use all the time, and it's easier to do and done more safely because I'm using the Thermomix. So I can actually, if I'm using hard-boiled eggs, which I do every day, I can kind of pop those on and go out and dog walk and come back and they're cooked to perfection. Where I wouldn't have done that before in the hob, so I wouldn't have left the hob on and then gone out. So today I'm just going to show you how to boil eggs quickly and safely, and they're done perfect. So now you need to set timers, and it's all on the Thermomix. So from your main screen then, if you just sweep left, from right to left, again on the function, and it's all very easy. So you go down to the egg boiler mode, and you click on that. And then here it tells you exactly what to do. So it's saying place 2 to 6 eggs even gives you the weight and everything. Cold from the fridge. To be honest, mine are never cold. I always have my eggs out on the counter, so I don't think that matters. For me, it works perfect. So it says pop them into the mixing bowl and add the water up to 1 litre. So you don't even measure it, because like Hilary was pointing out earlier, the little 1 and 2 reels, well, 1 is 1 litre, so you can just fill the water up just to above that 1 mark. So here I'm just going to demonstrate. These are medium eggs. I'm just going to put them into the bowl. And then it obviously gives you some more information. You can read, and it tells you that a soft boiled egg, what it exactly is, a medium boiled egg, and so on and so forth. So that's all of that. And if you go out of here, you just press exit. And I like my eggs medium soft. So it's where the white of the egg is cooked, but then the yolk is still nice and dippy and perfect for soldiers. So I'm just gonna, my eggs are in there, and I'm just gonna fill this up to the 1 litre mark. Up to the 1 litre mark. Pop the lid on, and then here, just with the dial, you just turn it round to medium. Well, actually, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I want mine medium soft, so you just turn it around to medium soft, and then maybe for 10 minutes, and that just goes off and does a thing to allow you the freedom to just go off and pour a gin and tonic or another glass of wine or whatever's needed. But yeah, that's it. So you can do this thing and come back to me then in 10 minutes.
And it will obviously ding when it's ready. So I think that shows you how easy the egg boiler mode. Hilary, are you ready for us to come back to you?
I am, yes.
Cool. There you are.
So hopefully, oh, okay.
So Hilary, just remind us, you are doing the sous vide asparagus.
I am, yes. Where were we? Oh, I don't want to do that.
And I think when you do these created recipes, you can see they're not quite as smooth going. Well, but the benefit is we've got the option is that we can tweak these recipes. You just have to get used to it a little bit and go with it. But it's just give it a go, because as soon as you've tried it, it's easy.
Asparagus in. So the water's warm now, so I'm just poking the bags in with a spatula.
And the benefit with sous vide is you are cooking at the perfect optimum temperature for that ingredient. So it means that all the nutritional, you've got the maximum nutrient content of the asparagus. It's bright red, it's still bright green even, it's still got a bite to it, and great flavour. Whereas obviously if you steam it or boil it, you lose some of that nutrient content. And with sous vide, so have a look at some of the recipes like the miso aubergine, and obviously things like steak. Sous vide steak is incredible for breaking down the fibres and giving you a really tender piece of meat, and probably a cheaper cut of meat you could get away with. So great for a bit of experimentation.
So once the bags are into your bowl in their bags, so your asparagus is in there, it's 15 minutes, it's at 85, and you can see the green arrow here, that's your reverse function. So that's auto selected even when we've adjusted the recipe manually. So you're just going to turn it to 1, so it's not going to chop my bags up, that means obviously, and that's going to just leave itself cooking. So I will come back to you in 15 minutes. This is done with this end.
Amazing. Yeah, we'll come back and have a look. And Kasia, are you ready? What goes perfectly with asparagus, we think, is, tell us.
Hollandaise sauce, of course. Hello, everyone, guys. So I have chosen to cook this sauce because a lot of people have troubles with it. And you know, when you cook in a pan, you have to be stirring so it doesn't stick to the pan. And very often, if you don't control the temperature properly, it will go very lumpy. So Thermomix is made to make things like that, because you don't have to worry about anything. You're basically going to put all the ingredients inside and just cook it. So I'm going to start cooking. All my little bits are here, and we're going to start with 10 grams of water. So just a bit of filtered water, perfect. Then we're going to go next, and we need some lemon juice. Lemon juice to the taste, obviously. Between 10 and 20 grams. I'm going to go for 10. Last time I went for 20, and I think it was a bit lemony, so I think 10 is perfect. Then we're going to go next, and it's unsalted butter. So I chopped all the butter in little cubes, and I'm going to put 150 grams of butter, which did get a bit warm now, but that's great. 80, 100.
I think we've done well with restaurants with Thermomix, because for a restaurant, making a hollandaise in the Thermomix is just a game changer.
It's just, yeah, I know, it's just amazing. So that's 150, and we go next, and we're going to put 4 egg yolks, and they all go in. Perfect. And then we go next, and it's just a pinch of salt, and again, according to everyone's taste, they can put as much as they like, I believe, and a pinch of pepper. Pinch of pepper in, and then we're going to click next, put the mixing label back on, click next, and now for approximately 8 minutes is going to use the thickening mode, which is very nice, but it's going straight away with the recipe. So you basically click it on here and it starts cooking. And it should be ready in 10 minutes. So I'm happy to come back to show you how it looks when it's cooked.
Amazing. Thanks, Kasia. Liz, are you ready? So whilst we let the thickening mode do its thing with the hollandaise, we're going to come over to Liz, who is going to talk to us about how she uses her Thermomix to mince.
Yeah, so in our house, we like to use a lot of like minced white meat, so chicken, turkey. So those are sometimes a little bit harder to find in the shops, or perhaps more expensive. So I started off with mincing chicken, and then I quickly realized, oh, I've got a steak in the freezer. It's just sitting there. It's only one steak. Unless I go buy 2 more or 3 more, we're not going to have enough for the whole family to have steak. So I realized really quickly that actually, even just that odd cut of meat that maybe you have in the freezer that you're like, what am I going to do with it? You can actually mince it and use it in the recipe. So when you're mincing in the Thermomix, the one thing you do need to do is you need to either partially freeze your meat. So perhaps take your meat, chop it up, because you want to have it into slightly evenly cut pieces, or and then freeze it for about an hour. Or you could take meat that's already frozen, which I sometimes do, and I just partially thaw it. So it's like, 80% maybe thawed. So it's soft on the outside, but you feel it's a bit firm in the middle where it's still slightly frozen. And that's just so that you don't, turn it into mush when you're mincing it. So the blades don't just over grind it. It just gives it a little bit more of, a texture for the blades to grab onto. Benefits of mincing your own meat. I mean, personally, it's fresher. You know exactly what you're putting into it, so you can control, maybe the fat content, the quality of the meat, the cut of meat. You can mix, different kinds of meat together. So a lot of the classic Italian bolognese dishes are half pork and half beef. So perhaps you could grind 250 grams of, steak, 250 grams of a bit of pork loin, and then you can mix them together and make a really beautiful bolognese. So it gives you that opportunity to do that, and also to maybe mince meats that you wouldn't normally find minced in the shops. So what I'm going to do today is, apologies, sorry, my cat knows I have raw meat on the counter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the chop function today. So from your main screen, if you swipe, you'll see all your different functions, and we're going to use that one that says chop. So when I select chop, it's going to allow me to choose what it is I want to chop. If you've never used this, it's a great way to manually, prep vegetables, chop up spices. So on this one, I can already see one of the options is beef, because that's obviously a common used one. So they've put that as one of the quick options. I'm just going to choose my beef. And from there, it's preset to either 300 grams or 500 grams. So I'm going to do 500 grams of beef. I'm going to select that. And in the corner over here, you can see the scales. So I'm going to take my lid off, and I'm going to press the scale button, and it's going to show me at the bottom. I know you can't see too well on my screen, I apologize, it says the weight. So I'm going to make sure it's on 0, and I'm going to weigh in 500 grams. So the most important thing is to try to chop your meat fairly evenly, just so that when it chops it up consistently the same size. So nearly there.
And again, this chop function only came in on the Thermomix a few months ago. So it's not a nice way to show how, because the Wi-Fi connected, they're constantly upgrading and updating.
So I'll press the set button, and it's only going to go for 13 seconds. So unless you really want to cut out away from me, you can, but it's only going to take 13 seconds.
Wait.
Okay, great. So I'm going to turn it. It's got the preset speed, which is 8.
There we go.
So you can hear beeping. It's finished. Moment of truth. So I don't know if you can see.
Amazing.
But yeah, perfectly minced beef. Like I could easily then just turn this straight into hamburgers, and you've got beautiful quality meat, freshly ground, no fillers, no preservatives, nothing in there that you don't want, that you haven't put in there yourself. So, it's a great way to use up things that are just sitting in your freezer that you think, oh God, I'm never going to get around to using that piece of pork or whatever. Grind it up and make something different out of it. Make your own sausage rolls with it. So, if you want.
My favorite one, my favorite recipe is the chorizo and chicken burgers. And they mince the chicken, it's chicken breast, and they mince the chorizo as well. And they are amazing burgers. And I have never found them in the supermarket. So it's one of those things that is unique to you potentially. Thanks, Liz. We're going to head over to Zena now. Zena, are you good?
And the eggs have just boiled. Sorry to jump in. The eggs have just boiled. Is that
Okay.
possible?
Go.
Right. Okay. So these have just boiled, and water too long, become hard boiled.
Because obviously with the egg boiler, you do have to take them out when they're ready. Otherwise, they will continue to cook. So listen to your Thermomix.
Yes, exactly. So let me just see. If this is fine. I mean, a lot of people do this more professionally than me, but I just stick it in. Oh, look at that. Perfectly medium boiled eggs with a very yummy runny yolk.
Looks well done, Martina. Nice.
There we go. You can move on now.
Over to you, Zena.
Hi, I just thought I'd let you know I'm wearing my Christmas apron because I'm starting to get ready for Christmas. Anybody else? Anybody else getting ready for Christmas out there? No? Okay. Well, I'll be ahead of you. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to be making some flour. We're lucky enough in our family, not to have any allergies or intolerances to any kind of food, but we do have friends that have it. So if I've got people coming over and I can't use normal flour, then it's really I go out and I've been out and bought flour, and then all I do is I leave it sitting in the cupboard until it, goes out of date, and I chuck it away. So it's actually really very costly for me. So since I've had the Thermomix, it's just been absolutely amazing because I can actually now just take ordinary rice and turn it into this superfine flour. And I just make as much as I need for whatever it is I'm making, and keep it in a little jar and then just remake it when I want to. And you can do this with almonds, you can do it with granulated sugar, which is cheaper to buy than icing sugar. So you can, you might have icing sugar in your cupboard, but you just haven't got enough to finish. So you can do that with icing sugar as well, which is really, really handy. And the first time I actually did this was because I was using one of these recipes on Cookidoo, the zucchini slice. I don't know if you've done that. I absolutely love it. It's a really lovely recipe. I don't know if you can show my other phone, Jane, but I've got that recipe up on my phone.
I'll try and find you.
Okay. Well, I was making that because I had zucchinis, I had loads of eggs. So I found this lovely recipe and I thought, great, I'm going to cook this, see what it's like. And when I started going through the ingredients, it suddenly said 100 grams of rice flour. And I thought, I haven't got any rice flour. So I turned to my book, my simple ideas book, and at the back, page 240, you've got all the instructions on how to mill. And down here, you've got rice, and it says you can do 100 to 150 grams of rice, and all you have to do is set it going for a minute at speed 10, and that's it. Absolute doddle. So can you see that on there? So there's my zucchini recipe. Do try this one. It's really, really delicious, and it's great for making in advance, freezing, taking pieces out for packed lunch, and going for a picnic, that kind of thing. And as you can see, just down the bottom here, it's asking for 100 grams of rice flour. So all we do, if I just go to here, in the book, it's telling me for 100, I need 150 grams. So let me just get my scales up. Sorry, I'm not holding this right. Just get my scales up. Put in my 150 grams.
And obviously you can do this with chickpeas, with rice, with almonds, all sorts, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And so what it was saying was 1 minute, 30 seconds. So I'm just going to turn this round to 1 minute, 30 seconds. And the speed is 10. So I'm just going to put my lid on. It's going to be noisy because it's throwing around the rice.
Well, whilst it's grinding, Zena, I'm going to go
Yeah.
to Katie because we'll lose your sound and we'll come back to you.
Yeah, great, fine.
Okay.
I'm making blueberry yogurt. So the idea was to do a yogurt to show the fermentation mode. And I've picked this recipe that's got some blueberries in the bottom. So I've pre-done some of it because it required chilling in the fridge for 45 minutes. And I didn't want you waiting that long. So I'll just talk you through what I've done already. I put in the blueberries, and then I've frozen blueberries, and it heated it up and stirred it to make the sort of coulis at the bottom. I didn't add the sugar, mainly because we're trying to eat less sugar, and I think the fruit itself has got enough sugar in it, so that's my way of tweaking it to make it a bit healthier. It tells you even to put the simmering basket on top to allow the heat to escape. And then I washed the bowl, divided it between the 8 glasses. I've got these lovely little mix yogurt pots, which is perfect for fitting in the Varoma. So I divided out the coulis, and then it says here, add long life whole milk. I wanted to use fresh milk, and it says bracket C tips. And the tip was, if you use the long life, the yogurt will go slightly thicker. Because I was using fresh milk, I just added some cream to add to the thickness of it, because I wanted it to be fresh rather than long life, just for the health benefits. So it heated that up to 95 degrees. And then that's when I put it into the fridge. I've taken it out the fridge. I've added plain yogurt. And I got yogurt from the supermarket that was as raw as possible, so it's got no additives in it, and it does literally just say milk as the ingredient. And then I added, so this was again optional tip, adding the milk powder. Again, it says in the tip, this makes it slightly thicker.
Obviously, if you're making the yogurt, Katie, without the compote in the bottom, you can then strain it, which I know you've done as well. Strain the yogurt after you've made it, and that makes it really lovely and thick. So then you wouldn't.
Yeah.
I still have cream though because it tastes lovely. But yeah,
it's one of the best with honey and walnuts, where it asks you to strain it through a muslin, and it asks you to strain it for 5 hours, and then you end up with, I found, half the quantity and a really thick yogurt. So I strain it only for an hour, and you get the consistency you want then. So I've done that, and it's mixed it, and again I've divided it between the glass jars. Now, if you don't have these lovely Thermomix jars at home, you can use any pot covered in cling film. So I've got one done like that because for whatever reason I'm missing a jar. It's obviously been used for something. So I've popped them into my Varoma there, and it's perfect size for 8 of them as per the recipe. Closed jars with lids or cling film, it's put there, so you've got that option. Clean mixing bowl, I've already done that. And for those that don't know, the pre-cleaning mode is a godsend. Just shove in water and washing up liquid, press pre-cleaning, and it does it for you. But I'm sure you all know that already. So it's asking me to add 250 grams of water.
And this is going to effectively steam, used to steam the yogurt, I guess.
Yeah. And then, as somebody's already mentioned, it asks for 30 grams of lemon juice or ascorbic acid. So basically this is the same thing, to stop it from rusting, I think.
Yeah, because the water's going to be in there for hours, isn't it? So you're just protecting it.
Yeah. And then click next. So I'm popping my lid on. Then the Varoma goes on top.
This is also a great way to sterilize any jars, baby jars and things like that, baby bottles.
I've got to say that actually, because I sterilized the jars beforehand. I just put it onto Varoma 20 minutes and then it sterilized the jars. So hopefully they'll last in the fridge just a little bit longer. And then, so it's already pre-selected the fermentation mode. It set it to 70 degrees because that's sort of your perfect bacteria breeding temperature. And then it says for 10 hours. So it's going to be going overnight. And then in the morning, I can come and have some lovely yogurt with some added nuts. And that's going to set me up for a nice gut healthy day with some nuts for my omega-3 and brain food and all of that.
So you'll be on fire tomorrow then?
Sorry?
You'll be on fire tomorrow.
Yeah, in theory. So I'm going to set that going and leave it alone.
Cool.
I'll let my Instagram what the yogurt tastes like in the morning.
Yes, do that. Bagley Kitchen. So everybody check in and see the yogurt in the morning.
Okay.
Yogurt is incredible. There are loads of different recipes for yogurt. And you can strain it or not strain it, whatever you've got time for. Kasha, shall we come back to you for the hollandaise? Did you want to show us your hollandaise?
Yes,
We'll
please.
go to see.
So obviously it took 10 minutes to cooked in the Thermomix, and you can see how, I hope you can see, I need to actually
there we go. Hold on.
And you can see how beautifully smooth it is and how it's naturally thick enough for your asparagus or boiled egg or poached egg or salmon or anything. It goes with beef actually as well, I've read on the tip thing. So it's just amazing. So as you can see, nothing got lumpy, it's very smooth and very delicious. So I think Benedict eggs tomorrow for breakfast. What do you think?
Yum. Do you know what I've frozen?
If we all were cooking together, we would have a proper meal: eggs, asparagus, sauce.
Would be perfect. And I've frozen hollandaise before and then just used the reheat function.
Yeah, we'll keep it up to 3-4 days even. If you just put it straight in the fridge, it should be absolutely fine.
Yum. Well done. Cool. Thank you, Kasha. See you now. Good for us to come back to you. You just need to unmute. Thank you.
Okay, so now what we have in here is this amazingly fine flour. Look at that. That's so fine. And it's cost me next to nothing. It's much cheaper than buying the flour. I looked at Sainsbury's prices today, and for a kilo of flour, you'd be paying £2.40, and for rice it's £1.60. So it's 80p a kilo that you're saving, plus the fact that you're not throwing out flour like I used to do, because I only used it occasionally. So I do this a lot now. I just love making flour from absolutely numerous things.
Amazing. Thank you, Zena. Now, Monique has asked, is the rice flour just using the blend function? Is that what you did?
No, it's the grind, it's the milling function. So if you need to look it up, you know, I think you've all got this book. So if you turn to the back, it tells you exactly whatever it is you're doing, whether it's almonds or whether it's rice. It tells you in the charts here exactly what your settings need to be.
But it was 1 minute
in these
and a half.
pages here.
It was
Sorry?
a minute. It was a minute and a half. And was that on speed? What speed
Speed
was
10.
it?
Speed
Yeah.
10.
So once you
Yeah.
get used to it, you could just quickly minute and a half, speed 10 and go, and you get used
Yeah.
to what you're milling.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I think it's brilliant. I love it.
Amazing, amazing. Before we come to you, is that okay, Zena?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
I know, Hilary, your asparagus is ready, but before we come back to you, we're just going to go to Emma, who's going to start off her butter, and then we'll come to you after Emma. So I'm just going to spotlight you, Emma. There you go. Go for it.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me all right? Yeah, great.
Loud
Okay.
and clear.
I think I've got the easiest call tonight, because since learning butter, I think I found it really easy. And I thought it was going to be quite tricky to do this. And that's why I haven't attempted it until now. I can signpost you to a recipe which is on Cookidoo. It's intriguingly, its title is butter. And you will see the ingredients that I'm going to use tonight, and I quite simply just use a 600 ml carton of cream, and I'm going to be using cold water to wash the butter solids when I've separated them from the buttermilk. The recipe is great. I'd like, if you're interested in making butter, go and have a look at it afterwards, and you'll see that I've done exactly the things that are in the recipe tonight, but I've just made it quicker by going freestyle. So at the end of the recipe, there are some tips. I wanted to see if it was in the Simple Ideas book that we've been referencing tonight, and it's not in there, but there's plenty of information in the tips section on this recipe in Cookidoo. And it says that if the cream is quite close to its expiry date, it'll split faster into butter and milk solids. And that's why it's a great way of using up any cream, double cream that you've got in your fridge, which is close to the expiry date and you don't think you're going to use it, or it's just gone past the expiry date. You can make butter out of it. And it says to wash it a second time to make sure it's really clean and it stays fresher for longer. And you can also make it stay fresher for longer by halving the quantity that you make, putting half in the freezer, and digging that out when you finish the batch that you've made. So I'll get straight into making it. I'm going to pour the cream. First of all, I'm just going to turn off the recipe that I've flagged up. And so I've got my 3 dials on the front of the machine. There we are. And I'm going to pour the 600 mils into the machine, and I'm nearly forgetting to show you that you need to use your butterfly whisk. That's critical. You won't do it otherwise. So you put it in over the blade, you turn it a fraction and you lock it into place, and then you pour the cream into the bowl of the fridge, into the bowl of the Thermomix. Getting my nouns mixed up, and that's more or less all of that in there. And then I'm going to cover it over with the lid, and the measuring cup is firmly in place. And I'm going to turn it on to speed 4, which is the maximum speed that you should use with the butterfly whisk. And I'm going to start the machine with you listening, and I'm just going to point out, if that's all right, Jane, I can talk through a few more things while it's running. But what I'd like you to listen for is the sound. I hope you'll be able to hear it, but the sound, it'll whip up the cream, and then we'll hear the moment when the buttermilk splits out of it, and you get a kind of a pulsing sound in the Thermomix bowl. So let's get this going. I don't need to set any time. It'll just record the time that it's running for.
I think it's going to be
hard to speak over the Thermomix. Can you hear me? Or is it a bit difficult? Jane nodding. I'll just say a couple of things. The benefits of having your own butter is you know what's in it. Paula's always telling us that supermarket butter has got really rubbish salt in it, so cheaply manufactured salt, and it makes it cheap to produce, and we get bottom of the range salt just by the supermarket own brand. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear the sound of the butter whisking is changing in the background here. Nearly a minute. There are no fillers or preservatives, and so you get a really nice butter. And then of course you can use herbs or garlic or any other flavors that you want to put into your butter. So if you're making garlic bread, can you hear that the machine has started doing a sort of a washing machine spin cycle now? I can hear it sloshing inside. I'm just going to have a quick look. Just stopping it because I think the whisking changed tone there, and this is that was a minute and 12. I'm going to hold it up to the camera there. Can you see that I've got butter solids forming inside the bowl? I'll just got a jug here, and I'm going to try to pour off the buttermilk.
Yeah, that's clearly separated.
Yeah, and did you hear it when it suddenly changed and started doing a sort of a washing machine spin cycle kind of a sound?
Couldn't hear it, but you could sort of see actually the Thermomix
Okay.
wobble a little bit, so you can see it's
yeah. Okay, well, I think there might be I might just pop it on for a second longer and just see if I can get a bit more buttermilk out of it, because I haven't quite got the amount that I'm expecting to get. You probably get about 200 mils of buttermilk out of it. So I'll run it a little longer. Obviously, if you're reusing cream that's about to go off, then you're not going to get any waste of double cream. And we haven't got additional plastic or wrapping. So I've stopped it again and I'll open it up. You have to be really careful not to over whisk it. So I'm going to stop there because it started peeling away from the sides of the bowl and there's no more milk coming out. So I think I've got most of what we need. So I'm going to take out the whisk here and I'm just going to lift it out with my hand and turn the cold tap on. Can you see the tap?
Can't quite see the tap. There we go. Yes.
You see the tap already. So this is a bit messy, and I'm just going to show you a small amount of the butter. When you squeeze it in your hand, you'll see little white bits of buttermilk coming out. But what I want to do is hold it underneath the tap, and I just want to gently squeeze it and let the water run over the surface of the buttermilk. Turn over the butter, turn the pat of the butter over. Can you see it all right?
Yes.
And it takes a few minutes, so I'm going to suggest that we don't stand here and watch me turning a ball of butter in my hand, and you go on to the next person, Jane. How about that?
Amazing, Emma. Amazing.
Thank you. Brilliant.
So I think, yeah, Monique, when would you add the garlic? I think Paula's answered that. So after you've churned the butter and washed it, and you can add all sorts. And you know what? The costs of flavoured butters in supermarkets are incredible. So there are some amazing, oh, thanks, Paula, shared a chorizo and garlic one. So that's fabulous. I'm going to quickly come back to you, Hilary. I can see you've got your asparagus there.
Hello. I have, so it's quite cute when you've adapted a recipe, when you get to the end, it says, well done, enjoy your dish. Whereas normally it just gets to the end. So I quite like that, not being a natural chef. So yeah, so all that happens is when it gets to the end, you obviously lift, take the Thermomix lid off, lift your bag or your sous-vide bag out with tongs, because obviously the water is very, very hot. And then open the bag up. This is what, with the asparagus, this is what you've got. I have taste tested it because I've not done the asparagus before, and it's really nice. This asparagus actually was supposed to be eaten last week, but we've had a house full of bugs. So it was, I would say, on the turn. And I think doing the sous vide has meant that rather than it falling apart if I'd cooked it, so maybe steamed it or something like that, I would normally do. It's kind of almost not crunchy, but al dente. It's really fresh. It's really lovely. It's really lovely actually with the olive oil. I used a virgin olive oil and just some garlic. So I would highly recommend. Really straightforward, and actually really tasty and really simple to do. It make a really nice starter. Just because it's just a little bit different to how it would normally taste, I think, with it being sous vide.
That looks amazing. It looks amazing. And yeah, have a look on Cookidoo. And I think, Monique, you were asking about searching. If you search sort of sous vide, you can, I'll show you in a minute on Cookidoo actually how you can search for various recipes. But also if you just were to Google a recipe, sous vide aubergine, and you can find on Google the temperature that you need and the length of time, and then you can go into the manual mode of sous vide and do it like we have done with the egg boiler mode and the peeler mode. You can do it that way. So if it's not one of the 87,000 recipes on Cookidoo, there's always a way around it. Definitely. So I'm gonna, are you finished there, Hilary?
I'm done. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is we're just coming up to the hour. If you are happy to stay on, I'm going to share my screen and just show you a little bit of Cookidoo. I think it's, hopefully this will work. I think it's, so this is my Cookidoo account. I think it's something that if you can use Cookidoo well, you will get so much more out of your Thermomix. It's incredible value at £40 a year, but just know there's a wealth of information. This is the website, and it's very, very similar to your app. So whether you're on your phone or your iPad, one thing I want you to be aware of though, is when you come to pay for your subscription, you need to do it on the website. So you can see here, I've got account. You probably don't have that on the app. So just be aware there's a couple of things that you can't do on the app that you need to do through your website. Something else is go in and check your filters. So you go into your profile, top right, and go into view profile and have a look to see whether you've got everything here that you want, because you're probably searching and you might not know what filters are set. When you sign up, it will just limit you to the UK. So there'll be lots of recipes that you might not be able to find, and that's because you're just limited to the UK. So I would recommend having a look at what countries you want. I only speak English. If you speak other languages, add them, because you can then get some really authentic recipes. I think Paula would agree the Australian recipes are incredible. Thermomix is a really well-known brand in Australia and has been going for years. So some really, really great recipes. Update your filter, and then you probably have to close the app and reopen it, and then these will be your default filters. So really be aware of your filters and have a play around. If you then go to explore up here, there is so much information here, and just have a scroll through when you've got a bit of time. This is what I wanted to show you. Thermomix modes and tools explained. Become an expert. In here, you've got everything you need to know about all the modes that we've used today, all the modes that are on your Thermomix. There's so much information that you can really become an expert, as it says. A lot of them, I mean, I have to admit, I don't use a lot of these modes. I don't use slow cook because I've got an Aga. I don't use the kettle. I don't really use the thicken because I use guided recipes, but everybody is going to use Thermomix and Cookidoo differently. So just go and have a look and see what is suitable for you. That's all under the explore, you know, along with the latest recipes, most cooked, spotlights, videos, and then your collections down here. Okay, so have a good look around there. Click on here as well, and then depending on what you search for, there might be recipes there that Cookidoo are recommending to you because of either your settings or what you've searched. So it's quite nice if you need a bit of inspiration. Okay, then if you go to my recipes, these are all your collections. This is where your created collections are. So when Hilary adjusted her asparagus recipe, it will be found in her created. And that's what I thought I'd quickly show you. So for example, peanut butter is a recipe that I would not use the Cookidoo recipe for. If I click on here, you can see I don't want to add any extra oil, and it's roasted peanuts. So what I would rather do is do my own recipe where you heat the peanuts first. That releases the oil, and then you just blend them. So you can either go add to created, and then you can edit this recipe. So you can edit it here and go Jane's, confirm, and then over here I want to delete the extra peanuts, and I want to over here, now bear with me because I'm doing this quickly, I want to heat the peanuts, and then you go and choose your cooking settings. I want to do 3 minutes. So you need to sort of know your Thermomix quite well, but just know that this is all available for you to do. And let's say I'm going to heat them to 100 degrees for 3 minutes on speed 1. Okay, and then you add it in. You can then change the order of your steps. So this, you know, bring this up to there, and hopefully you can get the gist of what you can do. So you can tweak an existing Thermomix recipe, and then it goes into your created recipes. Equally, what you can do, sorry, I've got all the other screens in my way. What you can do, where are we? You can add your own recipe. So create your own recipe, and let's call it peanut butter for argument's sake. Create, and then you're starting from scratch. Upload your photo, add your time, add your ingredients, 200 grams of peanuts over here, and then add your first step, weigh in your, and then click on your scales, and it will give you a drop down of all your recipe, of all your ingredients. So click on it into your mixing bowl, click tick. Next step, you want to blend them. Blend until desired, I don't know, thickness. Okay, and then you choose the time that you want to blend it. You can always come back in and tweak it, okay, or add in the heat. Okay, so those are the ways you can create your own recipes. I really recommend having a play around with this, because I suspect most people will have their own bolognese recipe, their secret shortbread recipe. So find, you know, your grandmother's shortbread recipe, find a Cookidoo recipe, and then go in and adjust the ingredients and the steps to your own recipe. And then you've got full sort of creativity on everything you cook. The last thing I quickly wanted to talk about is scaling and portion sizes of your recipes. This is a recent thing up until from a few months ago that Cookidoo added. If, for example, you choose butter chicken, you can see this is a really popular recipe. 1.4 thousand people have cooked it. It's got a high star rating. The popular recipes, the ones we cook often, our recipe developers have gone through and tried and tested the different portion sizes. So you can go in, click on the portion, and you've got a choice of 2, 4, and 6. And this has been tried and tested. So you've got a bigger group coming, put it on 6 portions, and then go over here and cook today. Okay, or cook, you know, whichever day. If you just want to do it for 2, you can do that. There aren't so many for one portion, but you could always mentally halve it, or cook it and then freeze half, or have half for another day. Now, other recipes. So if I go back and if I put in butter chicken again, this is a really popular one we just did. This one, less so. If I click on that and I want to make it a different number of people, it's for 4 people. It hasn't been tried and tested by our recipe developers, but don't worry, you can make it your own. Click on start, do the edits, and up here you can see you can choose portion sizes. So let's say I go for 6. It will automatically adjust everything, but just know it's not tried and tested by our recipe developers. So you might need to tweak it yourself afterwards, but it means that you're not mentally trying to halve the ingredients or double the ingredients. Okay.
I want to make.
Anybody said that? Anybody question? Sorry, I can't see. That was really, I think, all I wanted to show you on Cookidoo. Any questions on anything for any of us? Oh, Emma, coming over to you.
So I just wanted to show you the volume of butter that I made and to weigh it on the, just to show you the weight, pop it onto the 3 dials, swipe across for the scales, put a container on the top and set it. I'm just going to lift it out and pop it in there. There we go. And I've made about 370 grams of butter, which is quite a lot more than you get in a single pack. And I'm going to put it back in the bowl, into a dry bowl, and add in about 40 grams of olive oil and a teaspoon of salt crystals. And so adding this olive oil means that when it comes out of the fridge, it'll be nice and easily spreadable. And then the salt crystals were a popular request for tonight, because I don't make butter very often, and I don't put very much salt in it at all. So they just asked for a treat in the house tonight, and that's it. That's the end.